One. Hey, Alpha, it's Bravo over here. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. Long day. Long day.
It is a long day, but you know what? Having a conversation with your friend from childhood, I think, makes the whole day worthwhile when it's been a long day because we get to talk about what we really like to talk about, current events and how it's relates to us being patriots.
Well, certainly is a lot going on. So it's an interesting world these days. It's a lot different from when we were growing up, huh? So
Couldn't
without
imagine, couldn't imagine that we would be able to talk about this stuff at the speed of sound and then include a whole bunch of people out there in the country and the world with us. So this is very exciting, I would say.
yeah. Uh, who thought last Wednesday when when we woke up last Wednesday, Bravo, we would have a conversation later in the day and say, you know what, let's do a podcast. Let's do everything it takes to build a podcast. Why not? Let's do it. All you do is, add time and money, and we can do that. So, for everybody listening that has ever thought about doing this, it's not terribly difficult, but you've got to put a lot of thought into this. And I would have to say that we are certainly not professionals at this.
No way.
Um, no,
Not at all. We're
no,
not
not at all.
professionals.
No, we're anything but professionals. Let's just say we were inspired to action, right? Um, I've learned over the past couple of years, in the face of incredible divisiveness in this country, where it's not okay to like somebody or not like this person or support the president or not support the president. I found it's very difficult to speak your mind, and I'm tired of it. And this is just a great way to get out and say the things we want to say, and hopefully inspire some other people to do the same thing.
And if we can do this, you can do this. Definitely.
Well, yeah, because between the two of us, I'm not sure we can screw in a light bulb, but I think we've got it. That's not
Well,
true at all.
between setting up the website, between deciding on, we want to talk about something that's relevant, and we're two. We not only we chat friends for almost 35 years, but we kind of thought about it, and our message is this: we're two American patriots with an interest in politics and current events, and we wanted to just look to distill this hyperbole down to something that's just the facts, and that we all can learn and make our own decisions. And that was what was who was our inspiration to do this. I first have to say hat tip to Dan Bongino, and he says hat
Absolutely.
tips to everybody. Whether or not I get a hat tip from him, I would love it. But to get a hat tip to Dan Bongino. Yeah, I've been listening to him, and I have you to thank for this, Alpha, for getting me turned on to Dan Bongino. I always admired him as being that Secret Service guy, police officer, in my line of work, doing the things I've done. He's the person that I could see myself leaning on. He's got my back, and he seems to be doing that right now. And with hat tip to him for kind of inspiring us to get out there and giving us some new ways to do it without having to be worried about being throttled or not being able to get our words out there.
Well,
So,
right. Well, right. Absolutely. Dan Bongino is a huge inspiration. Huge inspiration for doing this, and I'm sure this is our first episode that we're going to do. Generally speaking, the ground rules are very similar to what Dan would do. We're going to keep it relatively short. We're going to focus in. We're amateurs. We have day jobs, so we don't have the time to really dive into this. This isn't about money. This isn't about making money. This isn't about anything other than putting out a good message and having a conversation. So Dan is a big inspiration, and everybody that has been watching Dan or has been watching the news or understands Dan might be going through some health challenges right now. We wish him all the best.
amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
he's really a great guy. I know people that know him, and they all say the same thing. He is just a super fantastic person, And when you listen to some of his first podcasts that he did, not too dissimilar from us. A little rough, probably a little bit better because he's probably smarter than both of us. And he's been in the broadcasting business for a little while, and he's got some experience, public policy experience, and he's good in front of a group, and he's fast on his feet. So
Yeah.
he's a
Especially
really
when he was in front of Congress. You remember that when he was he was talking to the Congress? Oh, that was amazing. I was like, I just was riveted to C-SPAN, which I never thought I'd be saying, but that's what,
It's a sad day when you're riveted to C-SPAN, but
right.
I gotta be honest with you. We can sit here and talk about Dan Bongino all night long. Super fantastic guy, a great patriot, incredible inspiration.
And he set up Rumble.
Super smart. Yeah, he did.
Rumble.
He did.
Sets up Parler, which we both Alpha and I decided we are going to focus on Rumble and Parler. Although we, through our little stumbling of getting things set up, the everything's stacked towards YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. We're not even going to go there, but I can tell you that we're going to be concentrating on Parler and Rumble.
Right. And well, let me continue that. It really broke my heart to have to make a YouTube channel to get the message out. Whether it's throttled or not, it is kind of the chosen platform. All of the StreamYard and all of the software systems port to that the easiest. So that really broke my heart to have to do that today.
Although we both of us decided that we're not going to let that stop us from getting the word out to you that, hey, we want to have a conversation and we want to share it with you. So that's kind of where we're going with this.
Right. So, let's carry on a little further. Let's tell you a little bit about what we're trying to do. What I think we're trying to do here is, and let me stress to everybody, Bravo and I are not political pundits. We're a couple of guys that get on the phone with each other all the time and gripe about kvetch and gripe about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And we think very similarly, but we're not the same. We have very similar life experiences, but we're not the same. Two different paths, but we're kind of similar in a way. Our backgrounds are somewhat similar. So we think a lot alike. So I guess the point here is this. We want to tell you the stories or find the stories or relate the stories that affect your world as a regular human being. There are some big, big stories out there right now. Bravo. I'm sure you'll agree with me. There's an awful lot to choose from to discuss. If you really want to, throw a dart in the map, pick the newspaper up and spread it across the wall and throw a dart, and anything that you look at is going to be noteworthy.
Right? Yeah, but you know what though? Most newspapers are good for lining bird cages.
I agree. Totally agree.
Should I name names or should we just hold off?
No. We'll just. I think people are smart enough to understand who the birdcage liners are these days. Yeah. So also what we want to do is there are some things out there. Bravo and I are very people oriented in our careers. We've interacted with a lot of people. The title of the show might have some meaning for some people. We don't have to really explain it. We don't really want to get too much into it, but you might kind of get the gist of what we're after by the title of the show, Signal 50. We'll just leave that be. It means a lot of different things to a lot of people. We share some common, we chewed some of the same ground. So, and I just want to say, we want to focus on regular people as well. There's a lot of really great things out there. There's a lot of really great people in the world. A lot of really interesting stories. It's not all politics all the time. And I think there are people and stories out there that need recognition because everywhere you look these days, I don't know about you, Bravo, I look and I get discouraged.
Mm-hmm. It's hard not to. I mean,
right.
It's constant blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, you feel like you're depressed because, you have nothing else to look forward to. I mean, I don't even want to get into the COOF pandemic right now. That's almost that's on purpose and I'm not saying people haven't died from it. It's not real, but I can't emphasize enough that I'm not seeing the bodies piling up outside of emergency departments. I'm just not. People, and there's no COVID zombies walking around the place. So again,
Huh.
that's
Well, I have a friend of mine. He calls it the less than 0.1% zombie apocalypse. So, he's like, I was really hoping for more, so we didn't have to go to work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, me too. But you know what? We've been going to work. So that's it. We really also want to focus on the true stories of America too. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's some real salt of the earth people doing really, really cool things.
Mhm.
And I think that's noteworthy. And I think we ought to, spend some time there and give people something to, nod their head about and say, you know what, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good that there
Yeah,
are.
Mike Rowe does that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the same way. And I don't think there's enough people out there telling those stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to try to find them and bring them to everybody's attention because,
Sure.
good people deserve to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Even if nobody hears this, even if the audience is 10 people, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't bother me.
No, it
and
doesn't.
we talked about this. We were setting this thing up like last week, and we both said to each other, no one may listen to this, and that's okay too. I mean,
That's right.
Then everyone's kind of getting a chance to listen to our weekly conversations that we had, talking and kvetching about what was going on. So, that's kind of the way I see it. But
there has been a lot of kvetching over the past, I don't know, what is it, 12 years?
More than that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so one of the other things that we want to make sure we get out there, in any good plan, you should have things that you stand on to. I mean, life is the same thing. You have principles and values, but we're not going to be pretending to be we're not going to pretend not to be nonpartisan. In other words, we have views, and unless we're not going to shoot from the hip and just start yapping about what we think, because things without someone else saying so, or a source kind of confirming what you're thinking, and without bona fides, or as Dan Bongino would say, receipts, then all of it is just nonsense. So we're going to bring to you the analysis, and we can then formulate very specific strategic predictions based on what we're presenting to you, things that we think about. It's not just what we think, because if you put a whole bunch of people around the table and start talking about an issue and they don't have any evidence to back what they're saying, people look at you as saying, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So. Well, along those lines, for everybody listening, Bravo and I have had some very interesting conversations over the years, quite honestly. And I really wish I could have recorded some of them.
Well, now we can.
Well, now we can. Now we have the technology, and we got up the nerve to go ahead and do this. We were talking about things that have been popping up in the news for the past couple of years. And we sit there and we have long, in-depth conversations. And then I think they're thoughtful conversations, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just, into an echo chamber. We don't always agree on everything, and there's nuance that we don't agree to, and there's outcomes we don't agree to. But at the end of the day, I think that the consensus that we've come to in the conversations we've had, we've been pretty darn close.
Yep. I mean, and not only that, but even if we agree to disagree, I'm not going to start coming to your house and burning it down. Not that I'd ever want to come to your house and try to burn it down, because there'd be a loud bang that goes along with it, and that would be the end of it. So, it's definitely not something that I would think about doing. But you're right. It's we want to be accurate,
right?
And we want to be thoughtful. Right. And we want to hopefully inspire someone out there who may listen to this to understand that you can do this too. And again,
right.
Share your story.
Absolutely share your stories. And I think that there's a lot of talking that goes on and not enough listening.
Right. Exactly.
And not enough people go through the effort to go ahead and really analyze a story and really think about it and really learn how to separate fact from fiction and opinion from everything else. And I think everything filtered through the lens of the media. If you turn on 3 different television networks, you're going to get 3 different stories on the same thing. Or you might only get one story. You may not
Mhm.
hear the whole story that's going on.
Or the story they want to tell you. I think
That's right.
that there's, and if you even talking about the politicians, and it's so divisive right now. I mean, the things you could, yeah, I think you can walk down the street and you can look around, and those people that are not wearing masks, and I'm one of them because I think it's the stupidest thing to do outside, let alone, never mind, inside. But the people that are wearing them versus the ones that are not wearing them, it's almost like a mark, and it's scary. I looked around one day, and I live in a pretty populated area, and some people are walking around with a mask, some people are working, not walking around with a mask. And if you walk, and I'm walking without one, they give you the hairy eyeball, and I'm like, mind your own damn business. I don't feel like wearing a piece of underwear around my face because it
Right.
keeps in the germs. So go stick it. But you can't say that because it's politically incorrect. Whatever.
Well, oh, the whole, you can walk into the restaurant and go sit down if you have a mask on when you walk in the door, but when you sit at the table 2.5 feet away, you can take the mask off. Makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
My background, I know your background. Everybody doesn't need to know our background, but let's just say we understand how viruses work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so sure that you're being told the story. You're being told a story,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a story for another time. So
And again, we're gonna give credit where credit's due. Thank you, Dan.
absolutely. It's the you are being told a story, not the story. And that is a huge reason why Dan has really caught everybody's attention, because he
Mm-hmm.
tells you the story.
That's
And
right.
that's what we hope to be able to do here. Probably not as well.
And
But
we're going to be we're going to be trying to give credit where credit's due.
absolutely.
And this may turn into the Dan Bongino fan club, but
It probably will be.
it probably will. But, if that gets me a chance just to, shake his hand, I would shake his hand. I don't care
Absolutely.
about I would
I
shake
think
his
we should just rename this to Dan Bongino's Screaming Pancreas broadcast. So
yeah, but again, in all seriousness, if he ever did stumble upon this, and again, we want him to get better or go through what he's going through, take one day at a time.
absolutely.
One day at a time.
Absolutely.
You don't know what's going on.
He's not alone. There's a lot of people that support him, us being two, and a lot more people. He's not alone. He's got a lot of people. He's got a lot of people trying to make sure that he stays in the book of life, right? So
Yep.
we're going to keep our thoughts and prayers going his direction. He's a super, super, super patriot, and we appreciate him. So look, back to partisanship. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will come out and say it. I'm a conservative, but I'm almost as much a libertarian as conservative in certain ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe in you do you, I'll do me, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Until what you're doing starts to bother me, then we're going to have a discussion about it.
Sure.
Right. But let's be reasonable. I'm not the kind of person that says, hey, let's legalize drugs because I'm a libertarian, or hey, heroin's cool. Let's go out and do that. Or driving drunk really isn't that big a deal. Or, hey, you're a libertarian, right? So, whatever goes, right? No, not true. There are some norms of society that I really think need to be followed. And I think legalization of drugs is probably bad. That's one of those sticking points for me. So
sure. And one other thing to go on that, I would say I've seen the light and become a conservative, and I'm a recovering liberal. I think that's the way I was brought up, a liberal. But then once I paid my first tax bill when I was 18, I said, where is this going to? And then they just keep taking more and more. And the experiences I've had, people expect things. They don't want to earn those things. And I got very conservative very quickly. And that's just the way it goes. You get older and you start paying taxes, and then you say, where's my tax dollar going? Nowhere. And I firmly believe in the same thing as Alpha just said. You know what? I respect you. I respect your opinion. And if we can't agree, then we'll disagree. But it doesn't mean I'm going to come after you and try to take you down.
Right.
And when that line was crossed, almost, I would say, I think it's almost like 10 years now, I think.
Yeah.
This cancel culture garbage, everything from that to, my workplace. I can't say I love the president and wear my Make America Great hat, because they'll come after you personally. And I got a family to take care of. So I would love to be able to jump up and down and stand, and maybe some people would think I'm kind of a wimp or a hypocrite, but that's not the case. I mean, you have other people depending on me to provide and to make sure that they have a safe environment.
Right.
That's why that was a motivating factor for us to do what we're doing right now.
Well, right. Bravo, you're absolutely right. And the thing about it is that cancel culture, it is such a purity test that everybody fails eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just nonsensical to me. Where the line got drawn for me was when everybody decided it was okay for men to use the ladies' room because you can identify with whatever you want. And it's not that I have, look, hating one group of people or another group of people, that's a liberal thing. Conservatives are live and let live people, and I think that message has really been twisted. We're a very much, okay, you do you, I'll do me. It's a big tent, come join us if you want group of people. But the line really got drawn for me with that. It's not that I am transphobic or homophobic or this, that, or I'm not phobic of anything. But this whole gender fluidity issue and this whole promotion of those thoughts, you can think you're whatever you want, but at the end of the day, if you can stand up and urinate in the boys' room, you're probably a boy.
Right.
If you have a penis, you're a boy.
Right.
If you have a vagina, menstruate, can have kids, or any combination of vagina, whatever, you're most probably a woman. And it's binary. It's ones and zeros, as far as I'm concerned.
Has to do with biology.
It's science, but liberals are the party of science, but we're forgetting about that science.
I disagree with you very much, sir. They don't know what the hey they're talking about. They just want what they want when they want it now. And I believe wholeheartedly that when you look at the science, and this is settled, and I'm not going to even change my mind, genetically speaking, males are XY, females are XX, period. Done. You're not going to change it with any type of reconstructive surgery. And there was a reason why gender dysphoria was considered a DSM diagnosis, in my opinion. But say that out loud on a street corner and they'll hang you from your toenails.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, life is, there are certain things in life that are ones and zeros. And I believe that that's one of those ones and zero issues. Homosexuality, I don't care about what you do in the bedroom. Close the door.
Have fun.
Have fun.
As long as you don't do it to a kid. As long as you don't touch a kid.
Well, now, and that goes for anybody.
Right.
That goes for anybody, not necessarily, there's plenty of pedophiles in the news or people that really like younger,
I'm just saying,
whatever.
You're an adult. You have the right to choose. God bless you.
Enjoy yourself. Right.
But children are innocent in my mind.
Well, right.
And that's not it. And this whole, that's another story. Anyway.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. But, look, it's about freedom. This country was founded on First of all, vigorous discussion. It
Mhm.
was founded on differences of opinion, freedom to practice whatever religion you chose to practice, your freedom to speak without repercussion, your freedom to redress your grievances to your government without fear of reprisal.
Mhm.
Peaceful demonstration. Thank
Peaceful.
you.
Let's emphasize
Peaceful.
the word peaceful,
Yes,
right?
we can refer to the great Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County, Florida, for his demonstration with flashcards the other day, which was absolutely. I love that guy. I've
Yeah.
always loved that guy. He's a piece of work. He's cool. A lot of stories about Grady Judd. We can get into him. He's almost like Chuck Norris.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a chin underneath that beard. It's another fist. Um, kind of stories. He's something else. He really stands up for what he believes in. He's a good dude. This country was founded on the amendments.
Mhm.
You can't have the first without the second. Okay, and I think the second is becoming more and more important. And I think that's a subject we'll touch on at another time. Uh, it just goes on and on and on. It's about what I think is important is expressing yourself without fear. As long as you're not hurting anybody, threatening anybody, or causing a disturbance. It's peaceful. And I think there's a lack of respect for that. And I want to bring that back.
Yep.
So, that being said, I think that pretty much sums up what we're all about and what this adventure we're going to go on is about. It's Bravo and I, our conversations, which I think are very reasonable, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And measured. And we want to pick some stories out and we want to tell the stories. And we want to promote the First Amendment. It's very important to us.
Mhm.
So, we're going to try some things here. We're going to try to present some stories and some headlines and a few other things that are important. And let's just this is a perfect opportunity for us to segue in. And another thing I want to add to everybody, we don't take any money from any advertisers. Okay.
Nope.
If this makes any revenue from airing on Rumble and Views and all of those things, or YouTube or whatever, YouTube, you're never going to make a penny. We're demonetized already.
We're demonetized. We
Yeah, I
mentioned
said that.
masks. We mentioned masks.
And men
Sure,
have penises, and men have
penises,
penises, and
vaginas.
women
Yeah.
have vaginas. So
Yeah.
I would think that we're already demonetized. So
Right. Don't
um,
care.
and they're probably going to come cancel me. So
Right.
that's okay. Been canceled before. It's
Yep.
fine. It's not about money. And we are going to bring along some affiliates. And what I would consider an affiliate, and I've been a big proponent of this through my professional career because I have relationships with a lot of different companies in doing what I do, and that's fine. And we're going to leave it there. These are good people. I don't associate myself with people that aren't good, wholesome, and patriotic in a professional way.
Mm-hmm.
If I promote somebody as an affiliate or we promote somebody as an affiliate, they're vetted, they're doing good things. I have personal experience with them. I'm considered an expert in my field, which we might touch on at another time.
Sure.
We want to make you aware of the good things that people are doing and how they're doing it. Very fascinating stories out there. We'll get to those. We'll always do an affiliate plug at the end of the show, and that might change. Don't know. And if they want to advertise with us, the revenue would just go to cover the basic expenses of these things
Which
of a
is
podcast.
expensive.
Yeah, we were.
We stumbled into you need a host, you need a web page, you need space. These things take up a lot of space and just chewed up my hard drive. I was like, oops. And again, you need microphones. You want one that sounds really good.
Right.
Mixing boards. I was like, all right, well, it's a hobby. But but again, I'm already enjoying what not only did I get a chance to talk to my best friend Alpha, but we also get to share our conversations and thoughts
Right.
with you. And if we get listened to, great. If we don't, don't try and cancel us, please. Just leave us alone.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
We'll turn off the feed and we'll talk to ourselves like we always do anyways.
Right.
So, that's fine. But like I was saying, any money we make would just go to cover some of the expenses because like I said, we've done a lot in like 6 days, 7
Mm-hmm.
days. And that involved writing a lot of checks.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's all right.
it is. It's fine. Freedom isn't free.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta have a little bit of skin in the game, as Dan would say. And that's the skin in the game that we choose to have. So, what I'd like to do now, this is a perfect segue to talk to a little homage to Dan and the work that he's been doing. Bravo and I have been following the whole Spygate debacle.
I don't know if debacle is a word, like scandal
Yeah.
debacle. It's
Scandal.
It's a scandal. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm sorry. I can't help myself because it drives me absolutely crazy to know that there are people that are trying again, then violating my number one rule, and yours too. You be you. Let us do us, and try to keep the thought of everyone else's well being and in front of you. And they're not doing it. They're power hungry, manipulative, conniving, wanting to be the ones in charge because they think they know better than I do, and that pisses me off.
What really pisses me off is a little bit beyond that. What really, as Dan would say, bakes my bagels. Hat tip, Dan. Thank you. I love that guy.
Yeah.
The full force and power of the intelligence agencies in this country, law enforcement agencies, the Department of Justice, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, all of these people, and all of the tools that they have to spy, and all of the laws that they created to pretend to keep us safe or whatever. They turned them against a presidential candidate because they were truly afraid that he was going to win, because there was a lot of dirt that the last administration left
And wanted to cover up.
Absolutely.
Bury, like deep into the mantle of the earth. Deep.
Oh, absolutely, because this stuff is toxic.
Yeah.
If this were discovered during the last administration, it would have taken down the administration.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it was discovered slightly, and I guess the ice really broke during Benghazi.
Mm-hmm.
And the mask really got pulled off of it during that whole crap show.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't get any better. It was like that's a huge scandal.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a huge scandal.
And they covered it up, and
they dripped it out, and they covered it up, and oh, no big deal. It was just a spontaneous thing. That's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And those players that were involved in covering that up are the same players that salted the earth for Donald Trump.
Yep.
Susan Rice, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, the whole cast of characters. I'm not going to tell the whole story of Spygate because I won't do it justice, because it's too complicated.
Right.
And that's what everybody's counting on, is your average person doesn't understand it. Well, I got news for you. I've been following it since day one, and Bravo's been following it since day one. We understand it. I can't relate it. There's so much detail here. I can't relate it. All I can tell you is we know that there's an investigation going on into a lot of the things that happened by a U.S. attorney, John Durham from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
There was a U.S. attorney from Utah. His name was Huber. He was looking into a lot of things from Utah. Huber's investigation concluded, and the results were kept confidential. The president has publicly voiced not a lot of confidence in the results, which I think is a move. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is a master chess player. Don't let anybody fool you, folks. The guy is a lot smarter. I mean, they impeached the guy. They've thrown every dirty trick in the book at the guy, and he's managed to survive it all.
Every single step.
And he's been exonerated over and over and over again. And I'm going to say he was exonerated because he was. Because the deeper we get into this whole mess, the messier it is, right?
Yep.
So
and there's a lot of people that don't want it to be uncovered. And it's the audacity and the chutzpah that they have trying to figure out that we can cover this up. And everyone's just going to pay attention to their own little lives and not care is a slap in the face to every single American that cares about this country.
Well, what people are going to find out is our tax dollars were used to try to destroy a presidency, to try to destroy a presidential candidate, to sway an election. Talk about election interference. That's what it was. You know, I want to give a big hat tip to the people that have really done the reporting and the work on this. And I would encourage our listeners to go seek out sources. A lot of people that think maybe the same way we do are probably pretty familiar with the John Solomons and the Molly Hemingways of the world. You know, obviously you've got Dan Bongino, you've got Greg Jarrett, you've got the great Sarah Carter, who I had the pleasure of meeting. She's fantastic. I met her at an event not long ago. She's really great. Greg Jarrett. There have been dozens and dozens and dozens of books written about it. Carter Page wrote a book. George Papadopoulos wrote a book. Bongino's written 3 books.
Another one on the way. Another one's on the way. Follow the money. You know what
that's
they say?
That's the third book.
Yeah, well, that's the third. But yeah, but money talks and money walks, right?
I already read the book.
Right,
already read it. It's great. It's just as good as the first 2. You really need to be following it. You know, there's been a lot of people done great reporting, like I said. John Solomon has been fantastic, and I want to bring something to everybody's attention. There was a story that broke today. The Federalist broke it. Sean Davis and Molly Hemingway. Bravo, if you would, please.
The Trump was right. Explosive new FBI text detail internet furor over handling of Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Big title, and wow. I don't even know where you begin.
Right. I don't think that we can do this justice by going over this. We don't have enough time.
Right.
It's a substantive article.
It's out of the Federalist. We'll put the link in the notes here on Rumble. And
right.
You know, like I said, we have to put it on YouTube. I don't. Anyway.
Right. Right. Full credit to the Federalist with Sean Davis and Molly Hemingway as the authors. We're giving you just a little
today's article.
Today's article. We're just going to give you a little splash of it. And what is going on right now is just incredible, because they dug up some new communications and internal FBI notes that were disclosed in the federal court filings today from Sidney Powell, who is she's a warrior. She's fighting for General Flynn's life because he's been tortured. That guy, that's just total ridiculousness. What's going on with him? They disclosed it in federal court filings today, and there are text messages in there and communications and internal discussions and FBI agents scrambling for personal liability insurance while Crossfire Hurricane was going on, because they were afraid of what was going to happen when everybody figured out it was all BS. So I would highly encourage you to look for things like this. Read this article. If you do nothing else tomorrow, take 10 minutes out of your life, read it, reread it, think about it. That is what your government was doing.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we wanted to also just kind of, you know, like besides, you know, you want to see how the article is written. You want to see how they present the information. And we wanted to show you an example of a not so good article out of the New York Times. God almighty. right? The New York Times. And there's, I think, what would you say, Alpha? There's probably three lines, maybe, that really, or they could have said it in 3 lines. Instead, they have to put it into almost a 4,000 word essay of nonsense. And I call it an essay. It's not reporting. It's personal feelings from authors like this Adam Goldman and et al. All of them are just full of it, in my opinion.
Well, I would agree with you, but I would slightly I would disagree with you slightly, Bravo, in the fact that I think we're coming to a point now where the facts are becoming too glaringly obvious in all of the obfuscation that's gone on over the years with the New York Times, the situation, the Clintons, and everything. This article is largely about Durham and his investigation and how he is now starting to peak. If you read between the lines, and you have to read between the lines, how the Clinton Foundation investigation is not necessarily over.
But I think the other thing that again, this article is an example of, and again, this is something that I picked up from the show Dan Bongino was talking about, along with Joel Solomon has one on Rumble also, that they're releasing these things in a drip way so that people are kind of desensitized to what's coming out. And what does that do? That makes it so that, when the real poo hits the oscillating device, everyone is going to be saying, been there, done it, or and then it'll be another Benghazi. And that's
well, Bravo. Let's sum it up like this. I hate to interrupt you, but you're a frog in a pot of water.
Yeah.
It starts out cold, and it gets warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer, and all of a sudden the pot is boiling, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of hot, and you're dead. And it takes a long time. There's a line in here in this New York Times article that really makes my blood boil.
Right.
And I'm going to read it. And I want to talk about it for just a quick second, and we'll wrap it up because everyone can go read these articles for themselves. It turns out that Mr. Durham also focused attention on certain political enemies of Mr. Trump, the Clintons. Okay, let's spend just a minute on that. First of all, I'm not sure this is personal. Okay, that is what they do. They try to personalize things. This is Alinsky's rules for radicals. Right here in front of your face. Durham focuses attention on certain political enemies of Mr. Trump. Well, that woman, Hillary and Bill and the Clinton Foundation, they were not necessarily behaving themselves very well, were they? They bought and paid for a piece of political opposition research from a guy named Christopher Steele, who just so happened to be a target of an FBI counterintelligence investigation as having inappropriate relationships with Russians. Okay. So when we talk about Russian collusion and Hillary and Russia, Tucker Carlson had a great saying, the virtue is the crime. And I think that there's more to follow on this. The Clintons really tried to destroy that man and his family.
And he served his country honorably,
Well, that's Flynn.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Donald Trump. I mean,
him too. Well, yeah.
Well, they needed to shut Flynn up because he just knows too much. He knows where all the bodies are buried from Obama. But that's another episode. We'll get into that later. But this is just it's a hit piece if you read through it, and it's not reporting, it's opinion. It's facts dashed in there to keep you interested, and there's some facts in here that are undeniable at this point.
Sure.
It's a lengthy article, and you'll get into that one. But that's about all I have to say on this whole thing. So there's a lot of BS out there, and there's a lot of creativity being used to describe facts. So let's try to cut through all that. And I guess that's our purpose. So, and on
Yep.
that note, anything else you want to add to that there, Bravo?
Very well done, sir. And again, read for yourselves, educate yourselves, and look critically at the articles to see if they're really telling you something or if they're trying to tell you something else.
Right. What story are they trying to tell you? What's the narrative? What are they trying to spin? I
Right.
think is the point.
Yep.
On that note, I would have to say that we've covered that pretty well.
And right now, we're gonna end our first show. Hopefully, you stuck with us through it all.
Right.
We want to hear from you, what you thought, and what your feedback is, and what you want us to dive into, or what you want us to follow up with, or what you want to learn about. If you got a story you want to tell, let us know. And you can follow us on Parler, and you can follow us on Rumble. And our message is meant to those who want to learn and not be demeaned for thinking.
Right.
And
right.